Welcome to the Kentucky State Capitol building. My name's Nicholas, I'm one of the tour guides here, and I'll be showing you around the building today. We're going to start with a discussion of the history of this building. This is Kentucky's new Capitol. The old one still stands here in Frankfort on Broadway Street. The new one is the fourth, the old one is the third. The first two were also on the Broadway Street location. Unfortunately, those both burnt down. The third one we built in 1830. We worked out of that for the remainder of the 19th century. By the year 1900, we had known for some time that we had outgrown it and it was in poor condition. We wanted to acquire the funds to construct a new one, most of which came from the federal government. In 1902, we were awarded a check for $1.3 million for damages incurred by Kentucky during the Civil War and services rendered by Kentucky during the Spanish-American War. We earmarked the entirety of that money for our capital, and in 1904, our state legislature designated a further $1 million of Kentucky's own money for the same purpose. Construction began on this location in 1905 and was completed in just 4 years in 1909. State government staff began moving in, and the building was in use full steam ahead in 1910. In addition to the timely manner in which it was constructed, we're pleased to report that it was also completed under budget. The initial fundraising had been $2.3 million, and we completed and furnished it for only $1.8 million. The name of the architect was Frank Mills Andrews. He was best known for his designs of hotels. He designed our Capitol building in the Beaux-Arts style, B-E-A-U-X arts, which is a blend of French and neoclassical. We're in our Rotunda, the central chamber of our building. If you've only seen it from the outside, we are underneath the famous dome. Our dome is French-inspired itself, drawing on that of the Hotel des Invalides in Paris. From floor to ceiling, our dome is 186 feet in height. From floor to top of the exterior, it is 212. Our dome is covered in white English terracotta blocks and has a columned lantern house on top. Here on the ground floor, we have 4 statues of famous Kentuckians. Front and center, this gentleman requires no introduction, Abraham Lincoln, commonly associated with the state of Illinois, which is not wrong. That is where he got his start in politics, but he was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky. He lived here for part of his childhood before his family moved north. Here we have Alvin W. Barkley. He was from western Kentucky near the city of Paducah. He was a Senate Majority Leader, and he was the Vice President under Harry Truman. Also the first Vice President to have the nickname of Veep. Henry Clay was originally from Virginia. When he was in his early 20s, he moved to Lexington and became a lawyer. Went on to serve in our state legislature and then both chambers of Congress. He was a Speaker of the House, and he was also the Secretary of State to John Quincy Adams. And here we have Dr. Ephraim McDowell. Dr. McDowell was not in politics. He was in medicine. His most famous operation was performed upon a housewife from Greene County by the name of Jane Todd Crawford. Now, Mrs. Crawford's operation was his most notable, not because she was famous, but because it was the first successful removal of a particular type of tumor of the lower abdomen. Theretofore in history, doctors did not know if it was possible to remove such a tumor. The surgery was performed on Christmas morning in 1809 with no antisepsis and no anesthesia. Some accounts of the surgery state that Mrs. Crawford recited portions of the Bible and sang hymns during the procedure. She survived. The surgery was a success. Jane Crawford lived a further 32 years to the age of 79. Dr. McDowell wrote a paper about what he learned, which was considered a great step forward in medicine, and he helped to found Centre College in Danville. Notably, about McDowell and Henry Clay, they are not the same material as Lincoln and Barkley. Lincoln and Barkley are made of bronze. Clay and McDowell are made of plaster. These are the casts used to make the bronze statues of these men that stand in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. The walls of our rotunda are graced with 4 beautiful murals, each one representing a different season of the year and a different aspect of life in Kentucky. We begin with winter and industry. We then have spring and civilization, summer and nature, and autumn and culture. An interesting point of historical note about these, they were meant to be installed shortly after the building's construction in the early 20th century. But the artist that we contacted to do them, Francis Davis Millet, never got to begin the project. Sadly, he died in the sinking of the Titanic, so we spent nearly 100 years without them. They were finally painted and installed in 2010 by Evergreen Architecture. That was made possible thanks to a donation of the Forked family of Corbin, Kentucky. Straight ahead, as you exit the rotunda, you have the office of the governor. This has served as the governor's office since the mid-20th century. Prior to that, it was a room for the preservation of historical artifacts, which in the time since have been moved to the Kentucky Historical Society. This building, in its early days, may well have been one of the highest tech buildings in the country. From its earliest times, we have had functioning elevators, central vacuum, central heating and air, and electric lights. Here you can see one of the elevators. The cables and cars are new, but the shaft is original. And then here we have also one of the outlets for the central vacuum system. One of its functions in the early days of the building was for a custodian to plug a hose into the outlet, and they would use that to vacuum the floors. These are our First Ladies in miniature. Each one of these is gifted to us by the Kentucky Federation of Women's Clubs. Each doll is wearing a handmade replica of the First Lady's inaugural ball gown. If we don't know what she wore that day, she simply wears something that would have been in fashion at the time. However, in some cases, if we have the original gown, a piece of it is worked into the miniature. In chronological order, they begin on that end with Susanna Shelby in 1792, and the cases run clockwise, ending in the opposite case on the far end with our current First Lady at time of recording, Mrs. Brittany Bashir. One of the interesting highlights on the first floor that some overlook is this drop box. This was originally used as part of our mail system. Staff on the second and third floor would drop mail down this chute, and the mailman would come by and collect it each day. And it is currently decommissioned, as you can see, but it is a beautiful historical artifact that we keep around for its own sake. Here on the mezzanine, I'd like to discuss some of the highlights of the Grand Hall. If you look directly above us, you'll notice a beautiful set of stained glass skylights running the length of the ceiling. These are art glass from a factory in Kokomo, Indiana, which is still in operation today. On opposite sides of the building, you have two marble staircases. The wings are unsupported. These are inspired by the grand staircase in a Parisian opera house called the Palais Garnier. Also on opposite sides of the building, two murals, both depicting events in Kentucky's early history. Nearest us, on the east wall above the House of Representatives, you have an artist's rendition of the explorer Daniel Boone gaining his first view of the lowlands of Kentucky from Pilot Knob in Powell County. Interesting point of local color, that is not the view from Pilot's Knob in Powell County. The painting is not true to life. We believe that the artist was being clever and painting the view from Boone's grave here in Frankfort. Then, on the opposite end, the Treaty of Sycamore Shoals, a 1775 negotiation between the Transylvania Land Company from North Carolina and the Cherokee tribe. The Transylvania Company acquired from the Cherokee much of what would someday become parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. In exchange, they gave the Cherokee a combination of trade goods and British currency. These events opened the door for American settlement of this region and laid the foundation for our Commonwealth today. Finally, all around us, we have these massive granite columns. There are 36 of these. Each one is 26 feet in height. They each weigh 10 tons. They are solid granite and in single pieces. They were sourced in Vermont, shipped to Kentucky, and when they arrived at the build site, were installed without heavy machinery. This is our state reception room, used today for special occasions such as ceremonies, celebrations, and the entertainment of distinguished guests. This is perhaps the building's strongest example of its French inspiration. This draws directly on the interior design of the Palace of Versailles. A few of the key points of that: the fireplaces are identical to the one in the 1670 Salon of Diane. The murals were painted in imitation of French woven tapestries by art students from the University of Cincinnati. The furniture is done in a French Baroque style, but what most people find most interesting are the mirrors. They are parallel, forming an optical illusion, inspired by Versailles' Hall of Mirrors. The chandeliers and sconces are original to the building. They are real brass and have always been electrified. Each chandelier has 261 pieces of crystal glass from Austria. Returning to the furniture, this table is particularly impressive. It is solid Circassian walnut, made and carved by workmen from Switzerland. The tabletop is Italian marble. The table weighs around 975 pounds. Nonetheless, it's only the second heaviest furnishing that we have had in the room. The heaviest ever can be seen in this photograph. Down here at the bottom of the photo, you see that at one time we had a magnificent rug. That rug weighed 1,027 pounds. It was made of hemp and silk in the German city of Dusseldorf. It was 16 by 54 feet. At roughly 860 square feet, it was speculated to be the largest specially woven rug in the world. Unfortunately, decades of use damaged it, and today it's currently in storage. They hope to restore it someday, or perhaps create a copy. The absence of the rug permits us to admire the original Kentucky oak floorboard in this herringbone pattern. The final point about our state reception room is the doors. This door here leads absolutely nowhere. The door on the left once led to a suite of private offices that were later moved downstairs to the first floor. So the door on the left was once functional, but today has a brick wall behind it. This door has always had a brick wall behind it. It was put in by the architect just for symmetry. The Capitol is often admired for its minute detail. You can see here on our brass doorknobs and locks, we have our state seal, the same symbol on our state flag. As you walk the halls of the second floor, we have portraits of the past Supreme Court justices of Kentucky. The first thing that you see as you enter our Supreme Court chamber is a bust of Justice William McAnulty Jr., who was the first black person to serve on Kentucky's Supreme Court. Now, our justices serve 8-year terms. He only served 3. Sadly, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer and chose to spend what time he had left on Earth in retirement. Here also is his portrait. Kentucky's Supreme Court has 7 justices who are elected to 8-year terms. The Chief Justice in the central chair is elected from among the justices by the justices to a 4-year term as the chief. They hold hearings 1 week of the month, 9 months of the year. They do not usually hold them in the months of May, July, or November. Now, the room itself is not the most ornate space in the building, but it's the most valuable, strictly in terms of monetary expense. It is so because the wood on the walls is mahogany from Honduras, which, due to its endangerment today, is terrifically difficult to acquire. Should anything happen to this, we are not confident we could replace it. Therefore, we regard the room as priceless. The ceiling above us has a reflective quality. It is leafed in old Dutch metal, an alloy of copper and zinc. We applied this to the ceiling because, when we opened in 1910, we did have electric lights, but the electric light was a fairly recent invention, and as such, not very bright. We had to do what we could to amplify that lighting, so we made the ceiling reflective to send the light back down at us. The chandeliers and sconces are real brass, also original, also always electric. Finally, in the back of the room, we have a bust of Justice William Samuel Pryor. Justice Pryor was on Kentucky's Supreme Court for 26 years. In his private endeavors, he was a very talented attorney. He passed the bar exam at the age of 19 without going to college. State law mandated that you be 21 before being sworn into the bar. He didn't want to wait, so he went before our state legislature, spoke to them, and they passed a special resolution exempting him from the law. He was also a distant relation by marriage to none other than Abraham Lincoln. Just through these doors is our House of Representatives, one of the 2 chambers of our state legislature. The first thing that you'll notice as you enter our House of Representatives is that all the furniture is missing. In anticipation of the upcoming renovation, we've moved them to a separate building. Normally, there would be 100 desks in this chamber, as there are 100 members of the House of Representatives. They're elected from across Kentucky to 2-year terms, and they come here to Frankfort to make the laws on behalf of the people in their district. The session for Kentucky is rather brief compared to some states. On even-numbered years, it's 60 days. On odd-numbered years, it's 30 days. The long years are the budget year, so it's a 2-year budget every other year. The desks at which they sit are original to the building and have been restored to look like new and refurbished to accommodate some new technology. The screens at the front of the room are used to count the vote. When in use, it's a rather utilitarian look about them. The background is black, all the names are up there in white. If you vote yes, it lights up green. If you vote no, it lights up red, and the totals are shown at the top. The high chair at the head of the room is for the Speaker of the House, who enforces decorum in this chamber and is best described as a referee for the process that takes place in here. Any member of the public who wishes to come in, sit, and observe is welcome to do so from the gallery above us. Seating is free, it's first come, first serve, and if you can't make it in person, the sessions are posted online. Particularly relevant to our younger viewers is these light bulbs. As you can see, these light bulbs have numbers on them. When a desk calls for a page, the corresponding light bulb lights up. The pages are seated in black armchairs at the head of the room, and when they are called upon, they go and assist the legislator with any small task that they may need. One of the things many of our guests find interesting is that our House of Representatives and our Senate are directly opposite one another here on the third floor. Let's step inside the doors. Now, our Senate is in much the same state as our House. All of the furniture has been removed. Under normal circumstances, there would be 38 desks in the Senate chamber. The number 38 does not change, so our senators are not based upon geography, like the members of the National Senate. You may recall that each state gets 2 senators regardless of size or population. Each senator for Kentucky represents 1/38 of the state's population. House members serve 2-year terms, Senate members serve 4-year terms. But just like the Congress, a bill has to pass in both chambers before going on to the executive. The chamber itself, in form and function, is very similar to the House of Representatives. Their desks are also original and have also been restored and also have new technology. Everything in the Senate is done by voice, including voting, which is done by roll call. There's another gallery in the Senate chamber, also open to the public, but 2 things really distinguish the Senate from the House of Representatives. The first is a stone. This red marble, here around the door frames of the Senate, appears nowhere else in the building. This comes to us from a region of South Asia called Kashmir. The other is a symbol. This is found almost nowhere else on the interior of the building. This bundle of rods tied together with an axe blade protruding from the top is known as the fasces, F-A-S-C-E-S. It is an ancient symbol for government authority, most closely associated with the Roman Empire. But it's made its way down through the millennia to the modern-day United States. It's here, it's in the nation's capital, behind the Speaker of the House's chair. At one time, it was on the dime and is incorporated into many statues of American statesmen. Here in the West Lobby, we have more statues of prominent Kentuckians. Firstly, Nettie Depp, who in 1914 was elected superintendent of Barron County Schools in western Kentucky. If you recognize her last name Depp, she is a distant relative of the actor Johnny Depp, who's also from Kentucky. Then here we have John Sherman Cooper, once described as the ablest Republican in the Senate. He was also America's ambassador to India, Nepal, and Soviet Germany. The plaque behind him depicts Thelma Stovall, who served in both chambers of the General Assembly, was a Secretary of State, a State Treasurer, and Lieutenant Governor. And finally, we have Colonel Harlan Sanders, the entrepreneur who started the Kentucky Fried Chicken Company. This is our final stop, a needlepoint tapestry gifted to us in 1980 by the Kentucky Homemakers Association. Each county chapter did a unique needlepoint square of what they thought best represented their county. There are 126 squares, 1 for each county and 6 that represent the entire state. Top left, you have the former state tree, the Kentucky coffee tree. Today, it's the tulip poplar. Bottom left, the state capitol building. Bottom right, the state flower, the goldenrod. Top right, the state bird, the cardinal. In the center, the seal of the Commonwealth and the seal of the Homemakers Association. It's not in any discernible order, but I'll point out some of the more notable squares to give you a better sense of what's here. Jefferson County is where our largest city, Louisville, is located, home to the famous Kentucky Derby. Fayette County is Lexington, our second largest city, home to the University of Kentucky and in the center of our horse farm country. Many of these are represented by something historical. For example, LaRue County was the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, Fort Herod is in Mercer County, and Constitution Square in Boyle County. And then more are represented by a natural landmark. In Powell County, you have the Natural Bridge in Red River Gorge, the famous Mammoth Caves in Edmonson County, and the Cumberland Falls in Whitley County. Thanks very much for taking this virtual tour of the Kentucky State Capitol. Once again, I'm Nicholas. Have a blessed day.